feel like we should start every episode with John Tesh.
Oh, we have to. It's the playoff time, especially.
Oh, now we're in the real season. That was pretend. So, yeah, playoffs are here. I didn't expect to see what I saw. I think I'm just going to go with the biggest shock before the playoffs. Golden State lost to the Spurs.
Yep.
That put them in the playoff game.
The play-in game.
The play-in game. Sorry.
Yeah.
Play-in game. Thank you. They lost to the Clippers. That was a great game. But I wasn't surprised by the Clippers because the Clippers are good.
Right.
The Spurs floored me.
Yep. Harrison Barnes.
I mean, again,
Talk about some karma right there.
So I keep wondering, was this done on purpose?
How many people remembered that Harrison Barnes was still playing since he's been gone from Golden State?
Very few.
That feels like eons ago.
A very long time ago. My brain goes to, what was Steve Kerr intentionally trying to avoid the Lakers?
I don't think so.
I think it's hard. Here's why I don't believe that to be true. If they beat the Clippers in Golden State, they're the 4 or the 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not even the 6. So the problem that the West has is there's such a swing with one game.
Yeah,
that it was really hard for a team to say, this is where I want to be.
No, it wasn't that kind of situation. I think everybody wanted to climb up the ladder. Nobody wants to be in that play-in, because it ultimately means you're playing OKC or you're playing Houston if you get out of there.
That's very true. What was the shocking end of the year stat or thing for you? That was my shocker.
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, just for this last week.
Yep.
Probably the Kings, honestly, because I really thought they were going to drop out. I mean, I guess a week ago they were in good position to stay in, but I had them pegged. I said this on the show a couple weeks ago. I kind of had them pegged to fall out. I thought, I just didn't think they were for real, but they may be finding themselves a little bit. It's not gonna get them past the first round, but they got good players on their team. So,
well, Dallas did the inevitable. They avoided a home court playoff.
Yeah.
So they're not doing the play-in game in Dallas.
No.
And the Suns fell off the cliff, which made Sacramento kind of easily get there.
True.
Let's cover the play-in games, because that's what we're about to get into. Then we'll get into the matchups that we all love and give everybody our opinions on who we think is going to make it, who's going to make it to the next level. So I'm going to start out east. We didn't really touch on the surprises there because it was kind of already settled. So I'm going to start with the 7-8 game, which is Orlando versus Atlanta. Orlando has home court advantage, one game, Orlando, Atlanta, and you go ahead first, and then I'll give you my concerns and worries and who I think will win.
Let me just say something first, though. If you're planning on betting on these play-in games, man, God bless you, because a one game win and you're in type of deal, anything can happen. Anything can happen in the NBA on a one given night. The thing about the NBA is good teams are, the good teams, the ones that can do it over and over again. But Trae Young could just, be unconscious from 3-point range and beat a Hawks team that I think most people would say is inferior to Orlando. If both teams are at full strength, I mean, Atlanta was unloading former rotation players to their former rivals, the Cavs, for peanuts. At the trade deadline. Orlando was projected for a deep playoff run at the beginning of this year, but had the injury bug. So all that long-winded way of saying I'll pick Orlando, but I wouldn't bet on it. But I would say I give Orlando the best chance to win that.
I also like Orlando at home for this matchup. I think Orlando is the better team. I think if I was going to be a betting man, I would bet on Orlando. I do agree with you. It is a one game, and that's the one thing that you said that I was worried about. If Trae Young is unconscious, I don't know what you do with that. It's like a one game playoff with Steph.
Yeah.
I've watched Steph get guarded. I've watched Trae Young get guarded, and he just doesn't matter. He goes further away. He just avoids you and just shoots it from like 45 feet, 40 feet, no problem. Yep. So I think that would be the concern. The other concern on a one game is that your team just isn't hitting their shots.
Right.
But again, in today's NBA, this is why the one game play-in I think is very interesting. With everyone shooting 3-pointers, it's anybody's game. So to your point about betting, if your team's hitting their shots, you're pretty happy.
Yeah.
Because there's not really that whole bring it inside, mash them up, beat them up, score it. There is a team in the playoffs that I believe does a little bit of that, but a couple teams. But on this matchup, we both pick Orlando. Moving on, they would face the Boston Celtics. After that, which we can get into those series, then the loser of Atlanta would be playing the winner of the 9-10 matchup, which is the Chicago Bulls without Michael Jordan and the Miami Heat without Dwayne Wade. And I always say that because those are the people that I remember crushing it for those teams. Yes, Dwayne Wade was the Miami Heat, not LeBron James, for those that don't recall. Wade was always the Heat guy. So
you know what? The Heat have found themselves in the finals 2 seasons that nobody thought they'd be there. Like, that's the thing about the Heat. Like, and maybe I just got PTSD, from years that they gave hell to the Knicks in the playoffs. But like, the Heat always seem to find a way. And again, like, it's a one game series. There's a very real scenario where Tyler Hero goes off and just goes on a heater, and it's too much for Chicago. But if you're looking for my pick, I'll probably go with the Bulls.
I'm big on the Bulls on this one.
I feel like we've both been saying it for a few weeks now. Like, the Bulls are, sneaky good.
I'll take the Bulls, the point, the over. That's how I would bet this. I'd feel very, very confident that the Bulls are going to come out. They're home. Fans are going to be stoked. They're in the playoffs. I see a Bulls Atlanta matchup in Atlanta.
Let's do it, and let's do it, and let's finally see a rebuild in Miami.
So Miami's out in our opinion. So we have the Bulls and Atlanta to play Cleveland. Who do you have winning that game? Now, they've already played one game. Now it's win and you're in, lose and you're out.
Yeah. I think I give it to Atlanta. Push comes to shove. I don't feel like strongly confident about it, but Atlanta's one of those middle of the road teams that I don't know if they lose 2 in a row to teams around there. Again, you'd expect Trae Young to get hot in one of those games. They have an awesome defender in Daniels, who, they'll throw on whoever is giving them the most problems, with the exception of like a Vucevic or something like that. They'll throw Daniels on Kobe White or, whoever else happens to be hot that day, and he'll do some damage. So I'll go with Atlanta. I'll say that the 7 and 8 teams are the ones to advance when all's said and done.
So you have the Cleveland playing the 8 seed, which is Atlanta. And this is where I have an upset. I believe in the Bulls. Mm-hmm. I like the flashes in the pan that they have, and I think the flashes are enough to get them into the matchup against Cleveland. So when we talk about Cleveland versus whomever, that's where we disagree. We can certainly do that and hold it off for another time, but I do think the Bulls will get into the 8 seed for the Eastern Conference.
It wouldn't shock me either, but I'll stick with my guns and say Atlanta, that Trae Young's not going to lose twice.
So let's hop over to the Western Conference. This is where it gets, I think, a little more clear-cut, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Golden State, Memphis, 7-8 in Golden State.
Golden State, to me, is the easy pick. Again, it's one game, so anything can happen. It's not like Memphis doesn't have players. Maybe they're a little inspired by their new recent coaching change. They want to prove some people wrong, but man, I just don't see Golden State losing at home in a. I wouldn't be do or die because I guess they could eventually play the 9-10 team if they lose. But I'm gonna say Golden State gets out and they make it to the next round with one playing game.
Would this game be the shocker to you of the 4 games if Golden State were to lose at home to Memphis?
Yes, of all the play-in games, I will say this would be this to me is the easiest one to call, and therefore that would be the most shocking. Upset.
I would be absolutely floored, like I was when they lost to the Spurs, if they lost to Memphis at home.
Yeah.
If they're playing to be the 8th seed, I would be absolutely shocked. I would enjoy if Golden State was the 8th seed, only because of my earlier prediction of wanting to have OKC take out the Giants, with Steph Curry being one of those Giants. I just struggle to say. I mean, if I'm a betting guy, I'm putting money on Golden State to win, the points, the over, all of that stuff. I just see them coming out, and I see Golden State versus
of all the playing games. I think that's the wisest bet. And let's be honest, the NBA does not want to see Steph Curry and the Warriors make an early exit.
I would agree with you there too. So we both have Golden State winning. That brings us to the 9-10 matchup, which would be very interesting if it was in Dallas. But it's not. So it's in Sacramento. Sacramento's at home against the Dallas Mavs, who, to be honest with you, these two teams, they're on the bottom. I believe they're 5 games behind the 7-8 seed. So who do you have exiting immediately? Stays left.
This is where I'd love to talk to a Mavs fan who is really locked in and just get a feel for, because what's the deal with the players, man? Are they ready to just go to Cancun and call it a season, or are they like, no, like let's ride this train as far as we can with after all the nonsense they've been through and the crowd chanting every game for their GM to be fired? Like, it's hard to tell. I mean, they have a lot of guys on that team, I think, with a lot of pride that made it to the finals last year and remember it vividly. They got Klay Thompson, who's not getting any younger, Anthony Davis, who's not getting any younger. All that said, I think the Kings at home, they're scrappy. They've got nothing to lose. They're playing with house money. I think I don't think there's much pressure on them. I think I'm going to pick the Kings. I'll say the Kings.
So here's the Dallas end of the year, which is not anything to write home about, because I was wanting to see, like, how motivated are they? So they lost to they beat Atlanta 120-118. That's a good win at home. Then they played the Clippers twice on the road. They lost 114-91, 135-104. Not even in the zip code.
No.
And then they beat Toronto at home 124-102. And then they lost to Memphis 132-97 while resting all of their players. So they're resting their players. They're getting ready for the game. The ultimate question that I would wonder, because they're not going to play at home unless they become the 8th seed. And the only thing these two teams are playing for is to be fodder for the OKC.
The Thunder, yeah.
Yeah, so the Thunder would love one of these teams to upset the 7 or the 8 seed.
They sure would.
I mean, if you're OKC, you're like, please give me Sacramento, please give me Dallas, just because of the year they had. Every other team in the West has a winning record besides those two teams. So if you're OKC, you're like, these are the teams that I want to feast against.
Yeah.
This is a pick'em. So to your point about this is a hard pick'em.
Yeah.
I have to watch the first half to see what I see. You know what I mean? Like, Dallas could literally be a down 20 and they could be up 5 off 10. They could be in it.
Yeah.
I think the hardest, most humiliating thing was, as a Suns fan, when we had that Game 7 against Dallas, and I believe Luka outscored our team.
Mm.
And it was so bad. The fans were leaving at half. Game 7 in the playoffs, mind you. This isn't like, oh, playing game. No. We were blown out against a team that we had taken to 7 games.
Right.
And it was so embarrassing. I don't see that happening here. But if it happened, would I be like floored? I mean, I would be kind of surprised. Like, I kind of think that these guys all have some pride they're going to play for. Like, they're not going to give it up. I mean, they're not going to be like, I don't care.
Yeah, that's what makes it so hard.
So to me, I feel like Dallas is going to care, and therefore I believe Dallas has better players.
Yeah.
So I think Dallas should beat Sacramento.
Okay.
And face off with Memphis.
That's completely reasonable.
However, shoulda, coulda, wouldas don't matter at all until you put the ball in the basket. And last time I checked, J-Kid could be like, I can't wait to leave.
He's probably already punched his ticket to Cancun.
I mean, I don't know what kind of traveling they've already booked. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was some traveling that's already been booked. And you'll know in the first half.
Yeah.
But Sacramento and Dallas, I think...
It's a toss-up, man.
So I have Dallas, you have Sacramento. We have Golden State. We'll face off Houston. So Memphis plays at home against Sacramento or Dallas. Do you see Memphis losing to your pick, Sacramento, or to my pick, Dallas?
I really want to be, be like you in the East and pick an upset there. But if you just take the track record of the full year, Memphis was one of the top teams in the West for most of the year until they started to slide. The Kings were not. So I will go.
The Kings in Dallas were never, ever viewed as a top team. Even when they had Luka, they were not a top team.
And, again, to my point before, I mean, yes, they got a good player in return in Levine, but the Kings traded away their franchise point guard in the middle of the year. Memphis has not done that. So I'll say Memphis squeaks by, but I think that'll be a close game too. And I think you'll have Memphis playing OKC in the first round, which will be a little more exciting than the other two against OKC.
I completely agree that it would be a little more exciting, but by how much is
slightly
slightly is correct.
A fraction.
I would be surprised if OKC doesn't sweep or win in 5 against any of those 3 teams. For just shenanigans, I will pick the 10 seed Dallas to play OKC in the first round.
Okay, there you
go. So
I'll
pick both 10s. If you were to say, Brendan, you have to put a lot of money on Dallas to make it to the 8th seed, I would exit. I would say I'm not putting a lot of money on this. I don't believe in it a lot. So you have Memphis, I have Dallas, you have Atlanta, I have the Bulls. We pretty much agree Orlando and Golden State. Now we can get to the meat and potatoes, which has already been settled, and now the teams get to rest for a bit till this upcoming Saturday. Let's go over back to the Eastern Conference. And I'm not going to start with 3-6. I'm going to start with 4-5. Milwaukee plays Indiana in the first matchup, 4-5. Indiana's the 4. Milwaukee's the 5. For those that are not following, we're in the real season now. You have an MVP candidate on, I would say possibly on both teams, but one is certainly an MVP. You have Lillard that's out. And as of right now, on paper, who do you like or who do you see moving on, and has that changed since our previous episodes?
In that matchup, I'm picking Indiana pretty much outright. I don't think it goes 7 games. I don't even think it goes 6 games. I think Milwaukee maybe wins 1. I think Indiana trounced them last year in the playoffs, and I think they'll trounce them even worse this year, especially with maybe without Dame, but at best an injured Dame, trying to make it work. Indiana's got such a high-powered offense. I just think it's going to be too much for the Bucks to handle. And in fact, I think if you're a conspiracy theorist, I think you got a case that Indiana, this is exactly the match they wanted, and they rested all their guys, knowing that they could have made a play for that third seed. I think they rested their guys so that they can settle in nicely with that first round matchup against the Bucks.
We had a debate about the 5 or the 6, with the 6 being Detroit and 5 being Milwaukee, and the only 2 teams that were fighting that out were the Knicks and Indiana. I believe, like you, Indiana is far superior. I totally agree with your 4-1. I mean, if I was a betting man, I could even see this possibly being a sweep.
I could.
And if we go back to earlier, and this is what matters in the playoffs, you don't want any additional games because you don't know what can happen. An injury, a guy falls on another guy, a guy blows out his knee. I mean, that Brunson play, I watching that Lakers game, that's about as a freak of an accident as you could get. And then he's out for like 2.5 weeks. Yeah, that ends your playoffs, by the way. You come down the lane and you do something wrong. So you cannot.
Indiana's a team they smell blood, man. If they feel like you're sweating it out and you're a little shook, they're gonna run up the score on you. I'm telling you. So I'm picking Indiana all the way.
I think it would be really, really tough for someone to sell me that Milwaukee's got a shot in heck on this one.
Yep.
But
same.
So me and you are both agreeing with number 4 over number 5, and this is a no-brainer, which also, just so everyone knows, this leads to a Cleveland-Indiana matchup, because I don't think either of us think the Bulls or Atlanta are going to give Cleveland a tough time. But then you got a really, really well-rested, oiled team ready to go really hard against another team. So
and Indiana may have closed the gap between them and the Cavs over the past month or so.
I don't disagree with you, and I can't wait to have that preview, because again,
that would be a fun series.
We're not going into the players and the matchups, because to me, a lot of this stuff, especially when you look at it, the 3 and the 4 for the Eastern Conference to me are superior. When we go to the West, it's going to be fun. I agree with you on Indiana and Milwaukee. Let's go to the Knicks, Detroit. This is your Knicks, so. What do you see for your Knicks here against the Detroit Pistons?
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks haven't given me any reason to believe that they can put it all together over and over again consistently. I'm gonna pick them to win. They should beat Detroit. It's a major choke if they don't beat Detroit.
I would agree with you on that statement.
But the way they've been playing lately, I'm not going to be surprised if it's a close series, which, as we talked about,
what is a close series to you?
I think that series is going to go 6 or 7 games.
If it went 7 games, I'd be floored.
It shouldn't. Again, it really shouldn't, and I think it'll be a real indictment of where the Knicks are at, and it'll just, put the exclamation point on the problems that they've had. But, I know the narrative around the league is that the Knicks don't play well against good teams, which is the case. But a lot of times they don't play good against inferior teams. So, I think, I'm glad they're playing Detroit. You and I had a quick exchange off camera in which I said that, I wanted to see them play the best. The hardest 2 outs probably is, for the first round, Detroit, and the second round, Boston. So let's go. Let's just beat the best and prove out all the doubters wrong. That said, I think Detroit's going to give them some problems. Hopefully I'm dead wrong, and the experience just wins out, and the lights are too bright for Detroit, but I don't think so.
So I have this series in my estimate. I have it a 5-game series with the Knicks taking it 4-1.
I would love that.
I see Detroit beating them in 1 game. I think game 3 or possibly game 4. I don't foresee this being a 6 or 7 game. If it goes to 6 games, My issue right now goes to the coaching staff because they played so few players throughout the season, which everyone notoriously doesn't like anymore. Yeah. So I think you're going to be looking at the coaching staff moving forward, which is a problem, because then if you go 6 or 7, then you face the Celtics, who I don't think either of us put them, and we'll debate who they're playing, but I don't think either of us are thinking they're going to have a hard first series. So again, this is huge to go 5. I think the Knicks have to do it in 5. If they're going to be ready for Boston, they have to do it in 5.
And I do think, man, maybe this is just an easy take to have, but I think if the Knicks beat Detroit in 4 or 5 games, and it's pretty simple, I think you have reason to believe that they'll put up a fight against Boston. But if they go out there and they, every game is a struggle and, it's down to the wire and the Knicks end up winning in 6 or 7 close games, I think they get absolutely trounced in the next round by Boston.
So I think you have the problem that most sports fans have, as they look at their team and they think to themselves, I see all the bad. I see all the things that I don't like, and it keeps glaring at me, and I haven't seen the things enough that I do like. So, like, you're giving a 6 and 7 because you're so connected to it, and they haven't put the pieces together, and I can see that. But to me, this should be a 5-game series. Detroit has made the playoffs. If Detroit beats them up, and this is the one carrot I'll put, I think Detroit is going to go out there to be extremely physical.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to try to keep the Knicks from going inside. I think they're going to try to keep them shooting outside. If you make all of the Knicks into shooters, I think you're winning.
Yep.
And I think that's where you get the 6-game series.
And they're going to do what a lot of teams have done in these games where they've run away with the game at the end of the game, and they're just going to pester Brunson. They're going to be all over him. And for some reason, the Knicks have not found a counter to that. They just haven't.
I look at, he's a really great player, but the biggest problem I have is it reminds me a lot of Nash years, where you just put a 6'7" person on him and just drape him.
It's crazy, though, because they have players around him that hypothetically should be able to take the attention off of him. There's a good chance Cat is going to be a second-team All-NBA or third-team All-NBA.
If he's shooting threes in this series and not taking it down low, I would say you're missing a big piece. So we both have the Knicks. I have them in 5. You think it will be 6? And
I'll say 6.
And 7 would shock both of us.
Yeah.
And if Detroit upsets the Knicks, everyone's fired.
Everyone's fired, and we're probably blowing up that.
Then me and you are going to do a show that's basically the Sons of the Knicks offseason special.
Yeah. Well, we probably could do 2 shows out of that.
Easily do 2 shows, and we'll just talk about who the Knicks and the Suns could trade together. Let's go to the Western Conference now on the 4-5 and 3-6. And I'm going to start with the 4-5. I'm on a seesaw on these 2 matchups, and I have reasons, and I debate myself over and over again. But I'm going to obviously go to you. You're our leading expert here in the NBA. So we have the Nuggets versus the Clippers. And my favorite thing about our last episode is everyone's sleeping on the Clippers. Everyone's sleeping on the Clippers. And guess who's the 5 seed? The Clippers. They're not the 6. They're not the 7. And they could have been the 6, the 7, the 8. They could have been all of those. They came out and they played, and then they put Golden State down on the road to get the 5 seed.
Yeah.
In overtime, no less. And to your point, they don't have nobodies. They have a good team.
They do.
And their team comes out, and they're everything about them, to me, what you're worried about with your Knicks, to me, I see the Clippers, and they play well together.
Yeah.
And then you have the Nuggets, who just fired their GM. They fired their coach. They have the MVP, the greatest player of all time, who should be an MVP because of his stats are just absurd at this point. Triple-double, top 3 in steals, all this stuff that you look at, you just go crazy. The Nuggets actually won out to get the 4 seed, did it much better than a lot of people thought. So maybe the coaching maybe there was just the chemistry in the lot. Like we said, we made the whole play up. So you have the Nuggets at home versus the Clippers. What do you see? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? How many games do you think this goes?
I think it goes 6 games, but I think the Clippers win.
Oh,
I'm going Clippers. I am riding that train. Maybe I'm gonna eat a lot of crow for that, but like, I love the Clippers right now. You got Kawhi, who's already got his championship, and everyone thinks he's damaged goods, and really has not shown signs recently of being an old guy, or an injured guy. You got Harden, who, he probably never expected to be in, a position like this again. But here he is, and I think he's gonna find a fountain of youth. Norman Powell is at one of the best years of his career, if not the best year of his career. They had an awesome center, and they got some good pieces around them, some good role players. So I'm thinking, Jokic is the man. He's all worldly. He's, arguably the best player in the world, and certainly, one of two in the MVP conversation. But I think there's a little too much chaos around him right now. And I think the Clippers take advantage of it. And I think they win in 6.
I don't see how this doesn't go 7.
Mm.
In my brain, I don't see how it doesn't go 7. And the reason why I say that is because this is the one matchup that I looked at for Joker on defense that makes sense. Because the two centers, he's not playing an athletic center. He's not playing a jumper. He gets to play somebody in that kind of ilk. They still struggle to defend the rim.
Sure.
And there's still like the questions on team chemistry. I think the Denver Nuggets are a good enough team to extend this series to the very brink. I struggle with who ends up winning, and the only reason why I struggle with that and why I'm leaning towards the Clippers, and I mean, this is on a cliff, right? I'm just like, one day I'll be like, I like the Nuggets. The next day I'll be, I like the Clippers.
Yeah.
The reason why that I like the Clippers so much, in my opinion, is because of the closers.
I was just going to
feel like they have better closers than the Nuggets.
Yes.
And I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm just telling you, 5 seconds left. Who's going to get the ball? You got 3 guys on the Clippers.
If you're telling me you could have the Clippers roster or the Nuggets roster, there's 5 seconds left or 8 seconds left with the game on the line, which team would you rather take that last shot? And I'm thinking, give me James Harden, man. Give me Kawhi.
And if I look at how they played against Golden State, that came true.
Yep.
They delivered. And if they continue to deliver, the Clippers organization is going to go, see, we had the pieces. We just had to ship a couple pieces out and get another pieces in, but we are legitimate. And then that faces the matchup where you would have the Clippers facing OKC in our minds. OKC traded for their MVP candidate, and the Clippers are trying to prove that they can take it to the next level.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Then we can get into that series. But let's jump over to the 3-6. 4-5 we think is going to be fun. I think 7 Clippers. You think 6 Clippers. We both are going with the Clippers.
Yep.
4 or 5 weeks ago, maybe I wouldn't be here, but I don't. Maybe you've talked me into it with all of they just have the clutch guys.
Yeah.
So now we go to 3-6. So the only thing that I think about on 3-6 is last year, Minnesota destroys Denver. They destroy the Suns. Then they face Dallas, and they get just destroyed by Luka and Dallas. Luka and Irv and Kyrie and, the boys. Now you have a first round matchup. First off, everybody just, this is the matchup, in my opinion. You have this Minnesota team with one of the greatest young players in Ant-Man, who is unbelievable. Yeah. And you have the Luka trade, which gives you the Lakers and Luka, and it's home field in LA. You have the Lakers, Luka. I know LeBron James is there, and he's still LeBron James, but at the end of the day, Luka was the one that destroyed Minnesota, if you recall.
And LeBron is going to be very okay with handing the keys over to Luka and saying, do that again.
So I I'm not going to give. I'm going to go to you first because I feel like this is where I get extremely biased on my own mind, on my own mindset. But I look at this matchup and I just say, this is where the NBA wins. This is your marquee matchup. This is, if you already looked at the times, this is the Saturday night game. This is the primetime Saturday night game. Get your popcorn out, everybody. Saturday night, right before Easter Sunday, when you're doing eggs, people are going to put on the Lakers, and they're going to be riveted watching this game.
Yeah.
So who do you have? Tell me what you feel about these matchups. I just laid out what I see based on last year's play. This is like last year again. It's a rematch, but it's just a whole different team.
I want so badly for Minnesota to pull it off, but I just don't see anyone stopping Luka night after night. And Ant-Man will have his too.
You mean on Minnesota?
On Minnesota, I just don't see, I think it'll go 6 games, and I think the Lakers will win. And I think those games will be close, so a 7-game wouldn't shock me. But it just feels like that typical, Lakers, Miami, Warriors, all the darlings of the NBA. They're these quote unquote great series, but in the end, those darlings of the NBA always find a way to win. I mean, Luka's gonna go off quite often. I think, Minnesota's got some toughness. A guy like Naz Reid, obviously a great defensive player like Gobert, if they're playing to their very best. But how much are they going to be able to impact, Luka just knocking them down and, having to leave LeBron only guarded by one guy? It's just I'm going with the Lakers in 6.
So here's where I persuaded myself. I'm reminded of when Minnesota played the Suns and they just were very aggressive with our shooters. And I feel like the Lakers are similarly built to the Suns, not like Dallas.
Okay.
Dallas, they were very spread the floor, dunk the ball. Kyrie was just outwardly as well in that series. Like, that's the part that I think that a lot of people are doing that with Reeves. They're saying Austin Reeves and Luka are like the Kyrie Luka.
But Austin Reeves is not Kyrie.
There's nobody who should say that out loud, but I'm just saying, if you were going to put the pieces together, the only chance I'm giving Minnesota is that they have to be physical with Luka to the point that he strains something.
Yeah.
Because he's known to do that in the playoffs.
And they do have tough guys. I mean,
they are extremely physical. And they can use their
Randall is a bully.
Again, the Lakers their inside team is not the same as Minnesota's inside team. Minnesota's team against the Suns shut us down on 3-pointers, and then they shut down Denver, and they just took it into the lane to score a lot of their points in the playoffs. I struggle picking against Luka because he's Luka. However, I have convinced myself that I believe in Minnesota, and I believe that there's going to be games where Luka's going to hit a 3, then Ant-Man's going to hit a 3 from further. Then Luka's going to hit a 3, then Ant-Man's going to answer. Like in the last minute, you're going to see like 4 3-pointers, and you're going to be like, I can't believe what I'm watching. This is like the craziest I've ever seen in my life. They're both that great. They're both that great. And this is the thing that stinks for if Ant-Man loses again to Luka, you know what they're going to say. Can't beat Luka. Can't beat Luka. They did that to Booker. And if Luka loses, it's going to be, oh, we got him in the trade late. We're still figuring this out. However, LeBron James is not getting younger. So I think the Lakers have a little more urgency than Minnesota at the moment.
Right.
I am also seeing this go 7 games. And the reason why is I want to be entertained for 7 games. I feel like this is, like, if you're the NBA and the Clippers and Nuggets go 7, and the Lakers and Minnesota go 7, the fans are loving it. Everyone loves it. And if the ratings aren't through the roof, then I don't know what to do with that, because these 4 teams, this would be a great Final Four in the Western Conference.
It's true.
Like these,
if it wasn't for
OKC, Houston, and again, I'm not discrediting them. I'm just saying the kind of basketball you would watch between these 4 teams is going to be great. If either of these go 5 or 6, I will be shocked. 6, I guess 6, not shocked. I'm sorry, 4 or 5. If someone sweeps someone and someone goes 4-1 on someone, I will be like, what happened?
I don't think there'll be any sweeps. No, unless like there was a major injury in the first like 5 minutes of a game.
Yes, if there's like a Brunson injury for like a Luka or Ant-Man where they have to be carried off, and you're like, well, there goes that series.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on both those teams. I have it 7, and I'm going against you. I have Minnesota.
Okay, good for you.
And I am reminded of last year when I went to Minnesota for the Frozen Four, and I love getting a lay of the land with the fans. So I love talking to the fans about things, and that team loves that basketball team. That's all they could talk about. Yeah, they got the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, they got the Wild, but man, do they love. They love Ant-Man, and they love that team. And again, they were excited last year before the playoffs. I can tell you right now, they want this matchup.
Yeah, good for them, man. And that's who I'll be rooting for. I mean, Minnesota.
You're just struggling to bet against Luka.
Luka and LeBron. It's a two-headed monster. But yeah, I think Luka's the guy now, and he's got the keys. But he has got. Can you get a better wingman than LeBron James? I don't know.
If one of these teams wins in 5, it will floor me.
It should be a great series. I'm pulling for Minnesota. I want to see for those fans. I mean, they've had a lot of like the rug pulled out from them over the years between like, having a pretty good team with Kevin Love and that drafting him and then, LeBron just decides he wants to steal, Kevin Love from you to play with the Cavs. That happens. And then like, they have Towns. I know like a lot of, they built their team back up. Thibodeau was there for a while and got them going. They had Jimmy Butler. Anyway, for now, like, the thing I worry about with the Timberwolves, and again, maybe it's my bias as a Knicks fan who loves Julius Randle and wants to see the guy do good, but man, there are some times where he just loses it, and he is actually detrimental to the team.
Invisible.
Yep. And
I've seen that. I've seen him be extremely aggressive and own it, and I've seen him at times you're like, is he there? Is he playing? Is he on the bench?
Exactly. And he's physical, and when he's at his best, he's like a physical like monster, but he will not get those calls in the playoffs. Like
I love how you're already making me doubt what I said out loud, because you're like, yeah. And the other thing that I've always had an issue with watching Minnesota through this year is their offense just looks like it's stagnant sometimes. The basket.
Minnesota, this is easy for me to say, but the best thing for Minnesota might just be that they just don't have enough against the Lakers, and they lose in 6 games, and it's close but not really close, and they go out and get themselves a point guard, because that's what they need. They need Mike Conley. The ship has sailed. They need a real point guard to be in the backcourt with Ant-Man.
That'll be interesting. I also think that they could be looking at another coach as well. I think like the Denver Nuggets coach would probably be really great there.
Yeah, I could see that.
If they go out flaming. If they go out in 5 games or something like that, like I can see that having a churn. Like we talked about with the Knicks. I know they're the 6th seed, but still, I mean, you got to expect to show up here in the playoffs.
And here's the thing with the West, it's like you don't really have the luxury to like, just go back again with a similar team. Like the West is stacked. There's a lot of good teams there. You're gonna have to They would be more. There would be more of an urgency for a team in Minnesota's position to do something drastic and try, a big swing for a trade than someone in the East where there's less competition up top.
I think that there's two things happening. One is we'll see what Dallas does in the offseason, and then we'll see what the Spurs do. Because the Spurs are that team that's just starting to simmer.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone sees it. Again, depending on the injuries and the health of the team. But, I mean,
they're coming.
Anybody who looks in 2 years like the Spurs are going to be a staple in the playoffs, in my opinion. I would be surprised. There have to be some injuries and some other issues that happen, but they're going to be a team that's coming up. So as you have these guys in these prime years, it's hard to be like, hey, this is it. You got to make it happen. So we look at those matchups, which happen on Saturday, as like, these are all, I would say the Western Conference has the juicier matchups and the Eastern Conference. You're going to be fret just pins and needles if the Knicks make it into a series. That's the only way that you look at it. And then if Indiana and Milwaukee turns into a series, you and I both will be floored.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
So, and then if any of these teams in the Western Conference bow out in 4 or 5 games, I would just be like, what? Who is getting fired again? Because Denver already fired their whole staff. I can't see the Clippers bowing out in 4 or 5. That would surprise me. And if Minnesota did it, or even the Lakers, I would be surprised. Someone would have had to have been hurt. Someone has to be seriously hurt. Like LeBron, Reeves, Luka,
right?
Ant-Man, Randall. I mean, you go down the list.
Someone major. Now, are we both? We're both in agreement that OKC probably beats Memphis in 4 or 5, right?
No matter if whatever 3 teams OKC matches up against, if it goes to 6 games, I'm calling OKC's first round a failure. Yeah. If they go to 6 games against any of those 3 teams, the only exception would be if Golden State ends up playing them, and I would be floored if that happens, which is why I'm like, again, listing the teams, Memphis, Sacramento, Dallas, if they're not out in 4 or 5, OKC has failed the first round, because that's right. You need to be out in 4 or 5. You're the only team that got a great matchup.
And the rest of the West is going to be
beating each other up.
Blood.
Because even the 7-2, which we both see as Golden State, Houston, that's going to be like, if you're Golden State, I know you're going to end up with Houston if you win. Houston's going to beat you up.
Houston's going to, but do you give the Warriors a shot to win that, right?
Yes, I see it going 6 or 7, but like, again, the way that I look at it is that's going to be like, that's the physical matchup. Mm-hmm. Like, that's going to be one of those ones where you're going to see Steph Curry is going to be complaining. Kerr's going to be complaining because they're going to be all over him. And they're going to be on him the moment that full court press and he doesn't even have the ball. That's what I see with Houston, because they're going to be like, we got 18 fouls. We're going to be draped on him. So the Western Conference, as far as I could see it, when we review the 1-8 matchup, I see OKC in 4 or 5, or again, failure. And Houston, because they're Houston, I see them having a series with Golden State because they're Golden State. And I think the only reason why I say that is because I'm biased, because I watch Golden State win so much and I watch Steph play so much and I just see them. At the same time, I just watched them lose to the Spurs and lose to the Clippers.
Right.
So, like, if Houston beats them in 4 or 5, am I floored? I'm surprised. I mean, I would be shocked if it doesn't go 6 or 7 with Golden State.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Yeah, so in my opinion, the way that I look at things is that the Western Conference has 3 matchups that are going to be difficult. The 3-6, 4-5, and the 2-7. Mm-hmm. In the Eastern Conference, I think the only one that could turn difficult is the Knicks-Detroit, and then shame on you, the Knicks, for doing that.
Yeah.
I don't see Cleveland struggling with the Bulls or Atlanta or the Heat, whoever they get. I don't see Boston struggling with Orlando or Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I see both of those series, again, 4 or 5 for the 1 and the 2 seed. We already said Indiana is a 5-game matchup against Milwaukee. So in all reality, the Eastern Conference is going to be sitting around in the training room waiting to get the second round of the playoffs going. The Western Conference is going to be beating each other up the whole time.
It's true. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And it'll make for some great, great TV.
So Saturday night, I'm excited for the 6 o'clock game. I'll just put it that way. The Lakers, Minnesota, I can't wait. And I can't wait to turn on the second half and watch those two guys battle. And by those two guys, I mean Luka and Ant-Man. That's what I can't wait for.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how I mean, I think it's safe to say that they'll highlight Luka, but will they dim the light a little bit on LeBron? I doubt it.
Nope.
So I'm wondering if Ant-Man has a real chance to like be kind of like an unsung hero, which is weird to say.
Here's the thing about Minnesota. If I'm looking at this matchup, who is stopping them if they go inside? The Lakers don't have interior defense. It's what they're struggling with. So if the Lakers and Minnesota are in a 3-point shooting contest, Lakers are winning that.
But just say they throw LeBron on Julius Randle, right? And you're feeding it to Julius Randle to try to do some bully ball.
Absolutely.
LeBron's getting that call, though. LeBron's getting those calls.
I don't think LeBron wants to play him.
He probably doesn't, but he probably will, knowing that.
So who do you put on? Who do you put on Ant-Man?
Charge.
Because it's not Luka.
No.
You got Reeves, LeBron, and Luka, which I think are all defensive liabilities.
I think you got to go with Reeves, the younger, sprier legs, and just
try to bug him. I like this because the Lakers fan are going like, "This is how we played him all year long," and it worked out just fine.
Yeah,
because it did. And that's the thing that's crazy about.
Speaking about punching their tickets, the Lakers fans already got their tickets punched to the finals. I'm sure in their minds.
And if they don't, if you've ever hung with a Laker fan and they ever lose early, have you ever hung out with a Laker fan when that happens?
No.
Oh, my God.
I'd like to.
Oh, my God. It's the best. It's as if they didn't even play. It's as if they didn't even occur. You can't even gloat in their losing. They're just like, oh, that team doesn't exist. It's fell into the ocean. Right. They only measure championships. So if they don't go to the they're like, man, whatever. We don't even get this.
That year never even happened. Was that a strike?
Yeah. And I sit there and I'm like, the Suns just want something so bad. We just want something. And you're a Knicks fan going, we just want something.
Just meant something.
Yeah, we're fighting for something, and then these the Laker fans are like, championship or bust. Bust. So we have some potential really great matchups in the West, and the hard part about that is we're going to find out what that is and then do. I mean, we can't speculate. Like, we're speculating the Eastern semifinal series. Like, we already are speculating Cleveland, Indiana, which I think will be great, and the Knicks, Boston, which I think has the potential to be great. Only the arena is the fans, but it also has the potential of being a not so great.
Yeah, it also has the potential to be 4 games and done.
I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case. So
I hope not either, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yes, we have plenty of time to talk about it, and we'll be able to unwrap some of these games, and we'll be tuning in next week as we go through that. But that is your playoff matchups we wanted to go over, and I know we were going back and forth on so many things. The only thing that is the breaking news that isn't really breaking is the Suns fired their coach, because why not? And
seems to be the trend these days.
And the reports that I'm reading right now is they're going to try to trade Beal and KD, and they're going to work with KD about where to go. And Beal is a whole different story, and the biggest. Is
he going to work with them?
He has a no-trade clause, so he has to work with them. And the other problem with Beal is that he makes so much money, you have to find a place that will accept all of the money. And the only thing, and I did some of my crazy analysis of financials, do you know what a trade that doesn't make sense but kind of makes sense but doesn't make sense?
What's that?
I looked at the Philadelphia 76ers, who had a terrible year as well. And they have 2 players who are signed longer than Beal, who, if they traded them for Beal, I think the 76ers would not have a problem. You could get Embiid.
I know where you're going.
You could get Paul George. You could get one or the other and trade Beal over there. And you could say Beal's done after 26. You have George and Embiid, I think 27, 28. So you're literally saying to everyone, we've given up on the project, and we're going to give up on the project a little sooner by bringing in Beal. And then the Suns ownership takes on another dimension, because I'm trying to find like what to do with all this money, because it's a lot of money that Beal's getting paid.
Here's the thing: a healthy, and this is the if of all ifs. I'm not even going to Embiid because I really don't even think we're seeing Embiid next year.
I would agree with you.
But a healthy Paul George is a better fit with Booker than a healthy Beal.
I don't disagree with you, and I don't think anyone in the 76ers world would be upset about that.
The problem is that extra year that you mentioned. Because of it, if he's not healthy, then you kind of got an even worse situation.
And I'm sure people can make comments and tell me who is possible, and I'm sure there's some creative trades, and you can pay some of Beal's salary. But the biggest problem that you have with Beal is he dictates where he goes.
Right.
And he could say, I'm staying with the Suns.
And I guess the only way you really get him to like agree to leave is by trading Durant and Booker and just gutting the team and saying like, you want to stick around, Beal? This is what you got, Bradley.
He played for Washington for a while to get
it's true. And he was super loyal to them. Like even when he could have asked out a long time ago.
So the other thing that no one's talking about Booker at all. There's no talk about trading him. There's none of that talk. So the biggest question that you continue to give me so much hope because people are going to want KD is who's going to want KD? And here's the best part. Let's watch the playoffs and see who we think is going to have a need.
Totally.
We've already talked about that. We have several teams in this playoffs, including some in the Eastern Conference that are going to bow out that would love to bring on a Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And in fact, you couldn't tell me that if KD ends up in Miami, that's not a good fit for him with that coach. And
it's a good fit.
And they could rebuild and they could do some things. Again, I have several teams that I could see KD going to that would work. But the question is, where does KD want to go? He didn't want to go to Golden State. He wanted to play out the rest of the year. So Golden State's out. So the question is, where does he want to go? Who is he going to talk about? And what does that look like? Because I guarantee you he doesn't want to be Luka. He doesn't want to just get traded. Right. He wants to be engaged.
Oh, he wants
and the Suns ownership has already stated they're going to be working with him. So whatever this trade looks like is going to be KD approved. So we need to judge it from that perspective. Not
There'll be a few suitors from.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. There's a lot of options here. There's a lot of options, including I would say both 10 seeds, Dallas and the Heat. Are both possible because I could see Dallas wanting to make a splash after everything that happened.
Yeah.
So, and with Kyrie is definitely coming back, and I would put a lot of money that Kyrie's back before Embiid. A lot of money. So,
definitely.
The nice 100%. Thing about as these teams continue to go, we can talk about what the offseason looks like and who is going to be calling and who the Rumorville is going to be talking and where do we see these players. But for right now, as we get into the play-in games. And then we get into the first round, which we have a whole week. We have a whole week till Saturday. So these teams have a whole week to get ready. I'll be shocked if there's blowouts on Saturday on the Western Conference. I will not be shocked if there's blowouts in the Eastern Conference.
No.
Because of the matchups. But in the Western Conference, if a team blows out another team by 20, what are you doing all week?
Right.
I mean, you got 18 coaches, millions of hours of film. I'm pretty sure you can put a game plan together.
Trainers, physical therapists.
Get everybody healthy and ready to go. Like, no one should be feeling it at all.
Everyone's playing 40 minutes.
I mean, this is, again, this is a Thibodeau-style playoff.
Well, this is why Thibodeau does what he does throughout the year, because it's supposed to not be new for them once the playoffs come around.
So, after we've looked at this in the playoffs, I think the biggest shock for me in the play-on game would be Golden State losing to Memphis. That would shock me.
I agree.
Just like I started the show with the Spurs shocking me by beating them, if Golden State is playing OKC, for my own heart, I would enjoy that. However, to your point, this is where it stands. Other than that, not much would shock me.
No.
Especially in the Eastern Conference. Like if the Bulls are out in the first game to the Heat, I guess that would kind of surprise me. But again, when the 9-10s play, like,
And it's one game.
I know.
It's one game.
To your point, always. All right. Well, I don't have anything else to cover. Is there any other breaking news? I mean, you got a whole week to be nervous for the Knicks, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to enjoy the other parts of my life that don't involve sports fandom.
Well, that's good. Yes, I would do that because then Easter's coming and then it's all NBA.
That's right.
And because we're going to be right in it. The one thing I will say that's very comical about our show here, Hoop and the Harm, is I think we're going to do more in a week than probably the NBA players are going to do because some of these breaks are hilarious.
Yeah,
Like on the schedule, it's like they play a game on Saturday, then a Tuesday game. It's like you really need that much time between the first. I remember a time when it was 1-2 day off, 3-4
day off.
Yes, and then they put that thing in where you had to go back to 5 and 6 and 7, but it used to be like 1-2 day off, 3-4-5 day off, 6-7.
Right.
And this again, it was an endurance match too, which I would love to go back to, but I understand it's a
business.
It's everything's. We're at the whims of TV.
Yeah,
we don't want too much competition for these great games, so let's isolate them. All right, everybody. As always, we were joined by our expert, Nolan, who gave you not only a chip from the New York Knicks, but from all of his beautiful mind about what we're looking at for the NBA playoffs. And I'm your host, Brendan, and we look forward to you joining us for this playoffs and the offseason. We have so much to cover here on the Hoop and the Harm.
That's right.
So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like us. And also don't forget to leave some comments. We'd love to hear from you. Laker fans, how you're going to guard Ant-Man. Or will not even matter at all. So we look forward because you're going to score 140. I don't know. That's the way it works. And as always, thanks for joining. And Nolan, have a great evening. Thanks, everybody.
You too, my friend. Take care.